In 2009, Fernando Torres was undoubtedly one of the best strikers in the world. He swept through the Premier League with Liverpool and had the world at his feet. So nobody at the time expected that he was about to make a decision so bad that it almost ruined the rest of his career. Let me explain. It's a 2010 World Cup and Spain are struggling in the group stages, which means they have to win their last match against Chile. Spain's manager selects Torres for the starting 11, but after just 55 minutes, he's subbed off. Spain still managed to win the match, but for Torres, it was the start of a horrible nightmare. The morning after the match, Torres was draining fluid from his knee, and it wasn't clear if he could finish the World Cup. But how could this happen, and why did his knee drain fluid? It all started 2 months earlier when Torres and Liverpool faced Benfica in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. It was Torres' third year at Liverpool, and he was already considered one of the club's best ever strikers, and with good reason. Torres managed to score 72 goals for Liverpool in just 116 games. So everyone on that spring night at Anfield Stadium expected Torres to carry their team through to the semi-finals. And as fate would have it, he actually did by scoring 2 goals in the second half alone, which secured Liverpool the win. But that's not why I'm telling you this. The important part is what happened just 2 minutes into the game. Torres jumped up for a header, but when he landed, he felt something clicking in his knee. He didn't think much of it though and continued playing the match. It was only after the match when he realized that his knee was swollen. His worst fear came true. He injured his meniscus and had to get surgery. This meant he would miss the rest of Liverpool's club season, including the semi-finals against his former club Atletico. But above all, the World Cup 2 months later was at stake. At the time, missing the World Cup was not an option for him. Or as he said it, "I have been waiting 4 years for this, and if all goes well, I do not anticipate missing it." So from the moment his surgery was finished, Torres was completely focused on recovering in time for the World Cup. Spain's manager Vicente Del Bosque even devised a special training program to get him back on track for the tournament in South Africa. But not everyone was so excited about Torres getting ready for the World Cup. All this talk about the Spanish national team made many Liverpool fans feel like Torres was prioritizing the World Cup over Liverpool. But as Torres explained, "If I was only thinking about Spain at the World Cup, I would have asked the manager to have taken me off straight after the incident." Obviously referring to the match against Benfica, where he saved Liverpool whilst being injured. Before we move on, I put a lot of effort into my videos, so if you've enjoyed this video so far, please consider liking this video. And if you want more football stories just like this one, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate all your support, and let's get back to the video. Now, this is where we circle back to the beginning. The World Cup started 2 months after that fateful match against Benfica, but Torres still hadn't fully recovered yet. So the plan of Spain's manager was to let Torres skip the group stages and only get on the pitch for the knockout stages. In theory, this would give him a little more time to get back on his feet, and Spain should be fine without him at first. Or so they thought. You see, at the time, Spain was regarded as probably the best team in the entire world. They had just won the Euros 2 years earlier, and their team was nothing short of insane. Iniesta, Busquets, Alonso, Casillas, Villa, and so many others. Honestly, I could probably list another 10 world-class players, so they were obviously favorites to win the tournament, even without Torres. But as we all know, football is won on the pitch and not on paper, which is why Spain miraculously lost to Switzerland in their first match. This forced the Spanish coach to rethink his decision about Torres only playing in the knockout stages. And this then led to Torres starting against Honduras and playing 70 minutes before being subbed off. Spain won the match, but to advance to the knockout stages, they still had to win their last match against Chile. Torres once again played from the start on, but this time he would only last 55 minutes on the pitch. Obviously, this all came way too soon for Torres, who still hadn't fully recovered yet. And after he woke up with fluid draining out of his knee, he knew that he couldn't play the rest of the World Cup without pain. It was clear that he needed rest, but his desire to win the World Cup was bigger. So Torres decided to accept the pain and force through the rest of the tournament. Although he played less than an hour against both Portugal and Paraguay, his conditions still got worse. So against Germany in the semi-finals, he only managed to play 9 minutes coming off the bench. Luckily though, Spain still managed to win the match and moved on to the finals, where they faced the Netherlands. This was all that Torres wanted and sacrificed so much for, a chance to win the World Cup. But the match turned out to be a tragedy for him. Let me explain. For the most part, it was a close matchup and the game went into overtime. Torres didn't get subbed in until the 106th minute of play, and just 10 minutes later, he witnessed Iniesta's legendary goal that secured Spain the lead with only 4 minutes left. But just a few seconds before the game ended, Torres' knee was injured once again, and he had to be carried off the field in tears. Now, as we all know, Spain won the match, and naturally, the entire team was celebrating the win. The entire team, except for Fernando Torres. He was so destroyed that he cried tears of regret in the dressing room as Spain won. It was only until a doctor convinced him to get up that Torres joined the team. So, in some weird way, this was Fernando Torres' highest and lowest moment at the same time. Because obviously, winning the World Cup is a footballer's biggest accomplishment, but at the same time, he had to sacrifice his future career to do so. Later on, Torres said this about his decision: "It wasn't how I'd imagined becoming a world champion. Looking back now, it might not have been a very smart decision." After the World Cup, Torres never managed to regain his old form. The following season, he scored 9 goals in 26 games for Liverpool, which is definitely not bad, but it's also nowhere near his potential. In the winter of that season, he made another questionable decision as he joined rivals Chelsea for 59 million euros. This enraged many Liverpool fans, but Torres argued that he was lied to by the Liverpool managers and didn't see Liverpool winning trophies anytime soon. So, in a sense, moving to Chelsea might have been the correct decision for him, as he didn't manage to win the Champions League with them. But on a personal level, he never really arrived at Chelsea, as he only scored 45 goals in 172 matches for Chelsea. That is obviously nowhere near the level he had before the World Cup, and as it turned out, he would never reach that level again. But at the end of the day, no one will ever know what would have happened if Torres didn't play that World Cup. Torres obviously regrets putting that trophy before his own health, but for some, winning the World Cup might be worth sacrificing everything, because just a couple of years later, almost the exact same thing happened to a French youngster. I'm of course talking about Samuel Umtiti, who was one of the best centre-back talents before the World Cup 2018. Just like Torres though, he caught an injury right before the tournament, but refused treatment and instead decided to force through the World Cup. If you want to know how that decision completely ruined the rest of his career, go watch this video next, and I'll see you there.